Alright, you guys, this is going to be a review for the Awi Striker. Now, this is a full function RC. It's only two-wheel drive, rear wheel drive, of course, but it's been upgraded with hobby grade RC parts. This has taken me a long time. There was a version that I did a while back ago. It's pretty much the same version, but I just added a new body. And the cool thing about the build is that you can swap out bodies. I put some pictures of this old one, and this was the body of the old one. I'll show you a little bit more about this one. But also was able to maintain the integrity of the G.I. Joes, so you don't have to cut them off at the legs or any of that, in order for them to be able to sit in here. So some of the upgrades, of course, is the wheels, the shocks, and because the Awi Striker is built so proportionally not perfect, it's really hard to get the right chassis to work with the Awi Striker, and maintain the original look. Sure, you can just plop the body on top of an RC and it kind of looks cool. I mean, it's functional, but this doesn't quite look okay in my eyes. But I mean, they're cool builds still. I did integrate some LED lights, as you can see. I still have some work to do. Put some paint in the back, that way there's no light coming back towards the vehicle. Maybe paint the wires. The switch is right here. It's got a low profile. It's nothing we can do about that. Down back here, this is a custom piece. I'll show you here in a minute where it comes from, or I should say how you attach it. But it comes from the this version of the Awi Striker. I think it's Stargate. This is a Stargate Awi Striker. It's kind of a relabeled for Stargate. As you can see, it's only a one-seater because their figures were a lot bigger. But this piece back here is what you see on this body. The body is modified. I'll show you here in a minute as well. But this is that piece. So you'll see that. This one right here, of course, and I needed that because of the slight extension of the chassis right here, and to be able to put the body connected. It's connected one point here and then 2 points back here. Alright, so like I said, it's full function, using old school, I think 1980s RC Fatuba attack transmitter. Let's see, the on button is back here. It's proportional. So everything's proportional. The speed, turning, radius, and all that good stuff. This is the antenna. It's modified. I still have to paint it in gray, but that's the antenna to the receiver. Back here, you can actually pop this off. Those are your electronics. And this hatch has been modified. The engine, of course, you know, it extends that back here. But basically, you just what I did was glue it in place, and then after I glue it in place, I'll go ahead and start grinding away. So, and it's fairly simple process, but from the outside it doesn't look compromised at all, and it fits snug, just like it should. So let's look at the inside. You just take off the detent rings here. just wiggle a little bit. Oh, and you saw this cable come out. This cable is actually the charging cable for the battery, and it uses a LiPo battery. Let's see here. Because the antenna is still attached to the receiver, I do have to take some of the slack off for the body to be separate. Now if I wanted to, I could just remove this whole body. And this is the small battery for the lights. The lights are independent with the body. So it just works out better like that. So I still have access to everything because of these the posts and the detent rings. The body, I've had to like play with different kinds of bodies. This is the body and the chassis for this, and actually the whole mechanics of it is from an F1 1/18 scale RC. So if you want to build your own, it's an F1 1/18 scale RC. They're fairly pricey because they're back in the days. I think it was 1970s or 80s, and they were high tech for their time. And they're slightly hard to find on eBay. You could find them anywhere between $120 to $300. So they are pricey. I've had to play with the pins and all this stuff right here because the torque. Once you put weight on this, it wasn't designed to have so much weight on top of it, but yeah, the gears, I don't even know what gears I use. I just kept on, trial and error, the weight ratio, and I went through a lot of different variations in here, but I finally found one that works, and this one was the one that worked. So I know I hate not having details for you guys, and I apologize, but it's just one of those things. You keep on trying and keep on trying and keep on trying until you get it right. The tiny servo down here, as you can see down here, basically you glue everything in place, and then after that you start grinding away. Hopefully you can see some detail here where you can map out your own cuts from the original, and that way it saves you a little bit of trouble. So down here, as you can see, this is that piece, and I barely use just the back portion of it. That way it leaves enough room for all the electronics. But basically, just once again, just glue it and then grind away and fit and refit. The lights, you can see running the wires. And I run the wires, that way I can have access to the back all the way, so I could just pop the hatch open and put the battery back there if I wanted to. The lights are fairly simple. It's a little bit time consuming, but just run wires and run it through. And then glue. This front bumper had to be glued down because it just didn't have the integrity of the original. And those two figures, a crankcase and I think it's Gung Ho. Of course, it's Gung Ho. But yeah, they're full figures. You could take them in and out. You could exchange them for different figures. So yeah, that's pretty much the biggest build. When you see the finished product, don't think that it was simple and it was linear. The build was linear. It's never linear. It's always trial and error. Use different pieces, use different electronics, get frustrated. So that's kind of what it takes to make something from scratch for the most part, or reinvent the wheel, I guess you can say. I still have some work down here because the gears are exposed, and I like taking these out to run around, just do different kinds of terrain and take it out to the dirt. So little pebbles, little dirt gets up in these gears, and then it'll grind away at the gears. It'll jam the gears sometimes too. So I'm gonna put a cover around it. That way it's not exposed. It might create some extra heat there, but I think it'll be worth saving the gears, especially now that I found the combo. But that's the build. If you guys have any questions, let me know, and then I'll make a video right now about running it and show you how fast it is and its maneuverability. So, alright, you guys.